Good morning, everyone. Hope you're all doing well. I know I'm up a little bit early for me, but today we're going to be doing something a little bit different than normal. So you'll notice that my layout is kind of the same set of boxes, but I don't have my splits up. And instead of showing my face, I'm showing my hands, showing my gameplay. So there's me. That's the part of me you get to see today. That's because today, instead of doing any percent attempts or races or anything else that I'd normally be doing, I'm actually going to be doing a tutorial stream. So this is the first time I've done something like this, so I have no idea how it's going to go, but my goal here is to go through and actually talk about how to play this game fast. Right? Talk about the behind the scenes of like, here's what I'm doing, here's the cues I'm looking for, the tips I'm keeping in mind, all the tricks I've got on how to play Super Mario Challenge mode fast. So yeah, I'll be doing a mix of walking through some of the YouTube videos just because it's a little bit easier to show you the optimal strats there as opposed to assuming I could do them first try every time. But then also, as you can see, I do have my 3DS out. I will be able to switch back and forth between showing the videos and showing my actual gameplay so that I can demonstrate some of the things that don't show up in the videos or talk about some of the tricks in more depth. So again, this is my first time ever trying to do something like this, so if you've got any questions or feedback, please let me know. But I guess with that, well, I guess I'll first just explain for anyone who may be new what Super Mario Challenge mode is. So right now I'm in Core Spot, but Super Mario Challenge is essentially the story mode of this game. And it's this button up here. So basically, I guess I'll switch back to my 3DS for this. Super Mario Challenge is this game's equivalent of a story mode where you walk through a bunch of the different levels in this game in order. It's composed of 18 different worlds with 88 levels in it. The nice thing is, we don't have to go through this in order to demonstrate things because all of those levels are also included in what's called Core Spot. Core Spot is sort of the level select screen, and it shows you everything in the game, including some bonus levels that aren't in the challenge mode. So challenge mode goes all of the levels up to World 19, so it goes through 18.8 right here. But there is a bonus World 19 challenge world that's not actually part of the any percent run, but it is kind of fun on its own. Kind of my goal today is to get through at least the first 8 worlds, hopefully through World 10, but we'll have to see how this goes because I tend to talk a lot and there's a lot of levels. So I guess we'll go ahead and see what we can do to get started. I will make my 3DS go quiet by hitting the menu screen and we'll switch over to our first actual level. Cool, so this is 1-1. Unsurprisingly so. And this level is copied from the original Mario game, so let's just watch it through. This one's pretty straightforward. There's not too much you need to worry about going on here. The main things are just making sure you don't slow down the pipes at the beginning of the level, getting into that specific pipe for the shortcut as soon as possible. And then this section right here, that corner, is actually going to be kind of tricky if you're going for an IL, but for any percent you're fine. And then finally here, you can see I did a stair jump. You do not have to do that for the IL or for any percent, but it is a pretty cool trick nonetheless. So let's go back and talk about this for a second. So there's a couple things I'm looking for my route. The first one is I tend to jump through this section here, but you can also jump over the Goomba, up to here and over. Like anything you do in this section is fine as long as you're not slowing down. I think most runners, you can just run off the end here to get to this pipe. So that's again my strategy. Of course you can go over the Goomba, whatever works for you on this first part. From here I jump from pipe to pipe. The key thing here that you won't see in the gameplay footage is that when I'm in this spot, I'm going to see if the game's going to break. I'm actually not only holding just right and run, I actually start holding down right about there. So if I'm playing the game, it'll look like jump, jump, hold down. Because if you're holding down in this theme as Small Mario, you don't actually crouch. Crouching wasn't invented until later, I guess. And so you won't slow down, but it'll make sure that as soon as you hit this pipe, Mario will enter it. So that's a small thing you can do to optimize. Once you get into this pipe, there's sort of 2 ways to treat this from here. The fastest way is to jump around that corner. So you'll see, pull it back and do that again in slow-mo. You'll see that I'm jumping around this corner and I'm trying to cut it as closely as possible. So I jump about that second coin and then again, let me see, I think these are, which ones are YouTube's back and forward buttons for frames? Thought it was this one. Well, good morning everyone. Welcome to my stream. Anyway. Basically, I'm trying to cut that as closely as possible, so like, you'll notice that Mario's foot just kind of goes through there. Again, not really required for the IL, thankfully. And actually, this can be kind of a little bit of a dangerous strat, so let's switch to gameplay here for a second, and I'll try to show that one off. So, we're in Core Spot, I want to be in 1-1. I'm going to be in edit mode for most of the time when I'm demonstrating gameplay, just because it's faster to jump to the spot I want to show off, rather than having to actually play through the level correctly. I guess I can show how I'm handling these pipes. So starting from here, everything on screen? Yeah, okay. starting from here, this is what I mean about holding down in midair. So actually while I'm in midair is when I start to hold down so that I know I get in that pipe the first frame possible. So if you don't do anything special, you run onto this pipe, which is not ideal, right? You definitely want to go into it below. The way that I handle this in any percent runs is I just hold back as soon as I run off this edge. So I run off the edge and then I'll hold back and that will drop me right in front of this pipe. Now I end up holding back and then flicking to right, and I'll show that when I actually go through. But the reason I do that is because it's a little bit safer. If you do, oh shoot, well I'll have to go back. If you do the jumping strat, we'll go back through the pipe again. If you do the jumping strat where you try to cut the corner closely and you miss, you actually land on the pipe as well, because you just sort of bonk off of it. So let's see if I can make that happen. So let's say I just did a really bad jump, I would end up over here and that's pretty slow. So that's why for any percent or challenge mode, when I'm doing the full run, I always do this like back and forward motion. It's about as fast and it's a little bit safer. Alright. Oh hey Cypher, oh hey man already, good to see you both. Feel free to stop me if you ever have questions. Alright, so the last part of this, jumping back to the actual run, and then we'll probably come back over here for some gameplay. Once you get this pipe, we don't need to be in, we can stay in slow mode because the next one is the jump. So here, come out of the pipe, you jump on top of this, then it's this stair jump. You do not have to do the stair jump, but if you want to, it's pretty cool, and it does save time, so I do go for it. The way that I set up for this one, and I'm trying to go back a little bit, is I look for when Mario's toe is off the edge of this block. So, that was a weird jump, YouTube. Thanks for that one. So right when Mario's toe is on the edge of the block. And then I'm looking at landing on specifically the edge of this block. Now if I do that correctly, Mario will not animate, so you won't actually see him run. So look at him closely, he needs a little bit of a twitch, but he's not actually changing into like a full running motion at that point. And if you do that correctly, you land right at the base of the flagpole. Now, again, you don't actually have to do that one. Oh, hey, Hellcat! You don't actually have to do that one, so let's break that one down a little bit. So back to my 3DS. Hi, 3DS. So here's where I'm at now. This is where I'm trying to set up that jump. I probably won't do it correctly live because of course not. But the good news is, again, you don't actually have to. So it's just about as fast to just sort of land on the stairs and climb up them normally. And so you can always just practice faster stair strats that way. So for example, when you're trying to do the true stair jump, you're always holding right and run. But if you're trying to just get around the stairs, and I don't have enough full speed to do this, so let's go back to here. If you're just trying to get around the stairs, you can actually hold backwards and try to like go back and forward so that you land more cleanly on the stairs and then have more room to jump back up. So you can do whatever you want with this, and if you look at a lot of the aisles for this level, you'll see that. If you are interested in doing the stair jump though, again, my specific, I'll see if I can do it live, probably not. My specific route for it is going to have me trying to jump at the edge of that block. It's a little harder to do with my current setup because I'm not right next to my screen. I jumped late, and then trying to jump off of this block here. Now the good news is, there's a lot of cues to tell you what you're doing wrong if you're not able to land it. So the first one is, you saw I landed kind of in the middle of this block? Yeah, that means I jumped way too late. If you land on this particular block, that means you jumped too early. So that means you need to adjust and work on your timing for the jump off of this location here. Now if I get that jump, but then Mario bonks anyway, check whether or not he started his running animation. If he started his running animation, you tried to jump off of this particular block too late. If instead you jump up here and then Mario doesn't jump again, you'll notice, or you may notice, I don't know if you can see, that happens if you press the A button while in midair and you jump too early. So those are sort of the cues you can look out for to tell yourself how that stair jump is going. So let's try a few of them and I'll just try to call out what I do wrong. That looked pretty good. Okay, so that was a late jump on my side. You saw that Mario sort of slid to the middle of the block. My jump was like incredibly late. I may have also jumped late at the beginning, but that's the first thing. So there I jumped too early. You can see that I landed on block 3 instead of block 4. So that would have been the mistake there. And I jumped super late on this one. So I landed mildly okay here. I think I was a bit too far to the right, but you saw Mario like run into this block before he actually did his next jump. That's the type of mistake that, that indicates that I was maybe okay jumping from here, but then the second one I'm jumping super late compared to where I should be. So those are some of the visual cues you can use. Now the good news is, if you do just go and sort of do a normal jump from here, actually let me just do a truly normal jump and not go for it at all. Normal jump from here, again, you land pretty cleanly on that 4th stair, and then you do want to jump a little bit at the end. So you don't want to have to deal with Mario falling down here and you having to like quickly react and jump up because you're likely to run into this block. But the other thing I'll call out is you don't want to get a 1-up. So if you do manage to make it to the top of the stairs, the stair jump won't ever get a 1-up. If you do make it to the top of the stairs and you land at the top of the flagpole, notice that the flagpole reaches the ground first. Right? When you look at Mario sliding down the flagpole, when you reach the flagpole, and I'll just highlight it here, closer to the bottom, you'll notice that Mario hits the bottom of the flagpole way before the flag does. That's what you want. You always want Mario hitting the end first. If instead Mario hits the end second, which happens once you're like about this high up on the flagpole, you'll notice that the flag goes down and we have to wait for Mario. That actually means you're losing time. So that's why, as cool as it is to get 1-ups in this game, you actually don't want to do it during the any % run. Alright, cool. I think that's enough breakdown for 1-1. Let's actually move on to other levels. That's like a surprising amount of stuff for just the first level in the game. Alright, so that's 1-1. We're going to move on to 1-2. Am I still in slow-mo? I think I'm still in slow-mo. Let's not do that. Alright, 1-2 is kind of annoying. This is like a stealth tricky level. So there's a couple different Koopas you have to jump over. This is the hardest jump right here. And that's all to set up this annoying invisible stair block climb. This is, again, sneakily hard to optimize. Once you get past the stair climb though, the rest of the level's pretty free. Just a couple of doors and a couple of extra jumps. And then this section here, as long as you're not super slow with jumping off of the ground, you'll always make it to the flagpole in time. So not too bad. The target time for this level, by the way, is a 2:83, and the way that I can tell if I'm on pace for it is... Where did my doors go? I want to go back to my doors. Come on, game. On this particular door, if you get it with a 287, you absolutely killed the first part of the level. You can get the IL time with just a 286, but 287 means that you're super good to go. But let's look at this. Oh, I didn't want to go to the next one. I want to be on this one. Okay, let's look at this a bit more in detail. So the first thing to note... Why did my... Sorry, YouTube got really confused there for a second. Alright, so the first thing here is this very first jump over this set of Koopas. The main thing with the beginning of the level is you're just trying to dodge Koopas. Now, personally for me, I try to jump when Mario's on this block, which is the first one after this set of 3. If I jump when Mario's in the center of that, which should be about what I'm doing, YouTube does not like me pausing. That's how I'm trying to get over this set of Koopas, and then you can do the first block after the tree to get over the next set. So the first 2 are pretty straightforward. This one is just kind of awful. This is the first one that kind of makes a mess, and my goal is to land on the second half of this Goomba stack. I don't have a solid, like, oh, here's my takeoff spot for this one. I'm just aiming for the second half of this Goomba stack. And the reason is that if I land on the second half, it'll let me jump on this second block over here. So going forward a little bit, I made that jump. I'm aiming to land on this particular yellow block because that's going to set me up for success. Now, if you miss the Koopas here, you can land on this particular section of the level and still make this jump, but it just gets a lot harder. This is one of those jumps that I miss a lot in runs, so it's good to know what your backups are for this one. I'll show off the demo in a second, but I want to finish going through here. From here, you can actually make it to the next pipe, and you want to land a little bit early on this one because the next tricky jump is going to be activating this hidden block up here. And the way that you do that is you need to be going pretty close to full speed in order to get enough speed off of this lower pipe in order to hit it. But you also, you'll notice I do a turnaround in midair, because if you go too fast and just go through, you'll actually miss this block. So you want to do a quick turn back just to hit it, and then land on this platform. From here, unfortunately, you now have to go back to the left, and you also need to have more than the minimum amount of speed to make this jump. So it's sometimes easier if you go all the way to this wall and then get a bit of a running start back. That's kind of how you take this section. And then it's the invisible block climb. Now the thing to optimize here, and I'll demo this in a second, but I just wanted to talk through it first. The thing to optimize here is jumping up to this is fine. You want to jump as soon as you hit the ground. That's pretty common for any sort of climbing section. But you also want to be cutting this pretty closely. So you don't want to be going too far above these blocks. You don't want to be doing full jumps as you're trying to go through them. The way you play. So you'll notice that like I'm barely hitting the edge of those bottom ones. Once you get to this one, it sort of doesn't matter. Jump over the side, and then again, the rest of this level is just get to the doors. And again, with Mario 1 theme, and I'm using D-pad, you can just hold up for the entire last part of this level, and you'll always get in the doors first frame. So that works out pretty well. So let's take a closer look at some of those details. So I'm currently on 1-1. I don't want to be. I want to be on 1-2. And again, I'll just jump into edit mode so I can skip the boring parts. Cool. Actually, you know, I will start this one from the beginning for a quick second, just so I can show some of the backup strats. It's more than likely I'll get a backup strat, so there we go. After the tree, after that, well, you're not supposed to die. That's definitely not the backup strat. Is it clear that I didn't warm up correctly this morning? Alright, so again, I'm jumping at that first block after those floating ones, I'm jumping at the first block after the tree, and then here's where I'm trying to hit the second half of that one. So the good news is once you're here, you're pretty much good to go, but as a heads up, this pipe does have a piranha plant, so just, if you end up going slowly, be careful and maybe be patient there. Let's see if I can get some of the mistake versions of this, though, instead. I'll try to land after the Koopas, just to show what that looks like, too. So back to the beginning, doing our 2 set jumps, and there's a lot of wiggle room on those first few jumps. So that's if you miss the Koopas, you'll notice that actually, let's talk about that. So you'll notice that will the Marios show up if I hit the Mario button? There we go. I actually landed on the ground afterwards, and then you can still make the jump up to here, which completely sets you up for success, so you're perfectly fine. Then from here, you'll notice because I got nervous about where I was on this pipe, I went a little bit slowly, and like, I wish I could zoom in to show you, but look at how close you can get to that invisible block without hitting it. That's what happens if you're going just a little bit too slow, you do the turn back too soon, so that's what's happening there. Now, let's say that you missed that block. It is possible to hit it from this pipe and recover back onto the pipe, like that, but it's a little bit tricky, so if you need to, you can go down here, get this hidden 1-up, and that will make it a lot easier to hit this particular hidden block. In the second room, you should jump before the second mushroom so you can get to full speed. I don't think there's a mushroom in this level that we get. Oh, the mushroom platforms? I'll have to look. We'll be there in just a second. So for this section, it just takes some practice to get used to the rhythm, because you're doing this the entire time. Like, just practicing that motion is a good way to go on this. You'll notice that this first block, though, is a bit higher, so if I don't have speed, I won't make that jump, so you can run back and jump forward to get to it. These other ones are all more of a medium height. So when I'm doing any percent, I usually don't go super optimal, so I'm not trying to... Oh, okay, there's the corner boost. I'm not trying to, like, barely land on these. When I'm doing the IL, though, I'm trying to cut it super close. So you'll notice, like, how close Mario is to falling off there and to not making that jump. Whereas when I'm doing any percent, I usually just do a full jump to make sure I don't miss the platform, because that's pretty costly. The final one's on the right side, but same deal. The final one, it doesn't matter how close you cut it, because all you need to do is jump off of it to get over the top of this. And then as soon as I land here, by the way, I'm holding... Oh, shoot, my hand's still on screen. I just start holding up, because Mario will immediately go through the door. You want me to jump before... I don't think jumping helps you get to full speed very much in this game. Maybe it does? I usually do jump before this one, so I jump over here just to dodge this guy, and that's all my pattern is for this room. This room's pretty straightforward, nothing much to it. You just need to dodge that one bouncing enemy and you're good to go. So skip him, show this one more time. So again, when I'm going through doors in this game, oh, by the way, there's like a ton of hidden stuff over here that I just didn't remember until recently. Like, check all this out. Why is this here? Anyway, you don't need those as part of the run, and I won't get the weird mushroom because that's going to throw me off. But again, I'm holding up just from here on out, so I'm just continuing to hold up as I jump before these two guys. Then from here you can hold right and then jump when you get to the bottom, and you'll always make it to the base of the flagpole, and again you'll get to skip that 1-up, so pretty straightforward from there. This level is just like sneakily hard to optimize given some of the trickiness around specifically that stair climb, and then that jump from the jump over here across these Goomba, or across this like Koopa, trying to like line this section of 3 jumps up is like sneakily difficult as well. But with some practice it's not too bad, and thankfully with this level, if you're doing the full challenge mode, you usually die early if you die at all. You're going to die probably to one of these first sets of Koopas, not usually it's the later ones. And then once you get to the stair climb, you can do it slowly, but you're not likely to die. Just again, remember that this has a piranha plant if you are going kind of slowly. Guys, hope blocks at the end. I know, right? Great level design. There is a subworld in this level, but it's much slower and involves going down this pipe, so we won't even bother to cover it. Alright, cool. We're now onto 1-3. We're making some pace here. 1-3 is great because it just... you can do whatever the heck you want. I'll talk through my strategy for it, but like, this is a free-for-all. All you need to do is not slow down. You'll get the 9-second time. It's a-okay. So for funsies, when I was routing this one, I routed it to all use spin jumps, because why not? I just can. Except for one jump at the very end, that one in particular, and that's it. You'll notice that when I do the ILs, I like to show off and try to get the 1-ups. In the real run, I don't, because that's slower. So going through this again, my jumping spots for this one are going to be all full spin jumps. The first one is going to be halfway through this platform. So there's the first one. I hold to get off the top of that Goomba. My next one, I believe, is this flower. Yep, there's the flower. And then again, at this particular platform edge, I do another full jump to get up to this ledge, and then at the end of the ledge. The only like tricky section to make sure you don't slow down is this end, because there's not a ton of room to jump around all of the piranha plants, but mine is like, get to this platform, and then it's around like these two. I know it's not a super helpful cue, but around these two like, I don't know, grassy ledge things. is when I'll start my pattern of just continually doing full spin jumps. And if, I'll go back to here so you can see the thing in its entirety. If I do that correctly, I don't need to stop spin jumping and I can get to this particular spot. So I don't even track my middle one. Like the spin jump from here, I just sort of ignore it. I just get to here and I'm fine. From there, I do a full jump with one twirl at the top to dodge these enemies. And then if I'm doing any percent instead of this one, I will just run off the edge. So we'll quickly do one demo of that. But it's thankfully one of the most straightforward levels in this game. So as long as you just know something for it or even just react to it, you'll be fine. So I won't even bother to do editor for this. We'll just play through it once. Oh, got stuff on my 3DS. And you can see how dirty my 3DS is now. Isn't that fun? So middle of that block, first flower, middle, end, and somewhere about there-ish, one twirl, and then for a challenge mode, I just run off that ledge, and as long as you're at full speed, you'll hit the bottom of the flagpole, so you won't lose any time. That's it. That's that level. Ta-da! Alright, I'm trying to make sure I get to a menu so that I can get the in-game audio to stop, so that you don't have to hear a bunch of extra audio as I'm going back and forth. Alright, cool. Last level in World 1. We're getting close to the end here. Or of just World 1, not the end of the game. We got a long ways to go. 1-4, the IL strat is slightly different than the real-time one. So we'll first look at the IL strat. The IL strat gets this mushroom, and the key there is to try to get the mushroom with a bunch of forward momentum, and that skips this section of fire bars. The ending of it's the same no matter what you're doing, where you just need to hope Bowser gives you a nice enough pattern that you can dodge him. Bowser can give you some really mean fire patterns, and the more you play it, the better you're going to get at dodging them, but still, there's only so much you can do there. So the key part, if you're trying to get the IL, is really just this mushroom grab. So the first thing you want to do is hit that as soon as possible. So you notice, like, I'm trying to make sure I get to this block ASAP. The next part is you need a running jump to cross this gap, and you want to do it while getting the mushroom in midair. So you'll notice that I back up a little bit, and then I start running forward as the mushroom's coming out. And if I do this correctly, which I did for my IL, I made that sound like it was suspenseful, and it's not. You'll actually hit the mushroom in midair while Mario is jumping over the gap. So you want to make sure that you're hitting this, and the earlier you get to hear, the better. Now the nice thing is there's a built-in way to tell how well you did that first part if you're going for the IL, and that's because these fire bar cycles are global. So you can actually check how well you did this beginning movement by seeing where the fire bar is when you damage boost through it. So when you damage boost, the screen freezes, and you get half a second to see where this fire bar is. If it's anywhere on the left side of your screen, like it's more tilted to the left than it is to the right, which is just about barely where I got it, that means you're on a good pace. You did a good job with the beginning section. If it's like angled to the right, you need to practice cleaning up the beginning if you want the IL. And then yeah, it's just running through, dodging stuff, getting to Bowser. I jump around these fire bars. There's not like even a set spot for that, it's just dodge stuff. Here again, Bowser can give you fire anywhere in these heights, so you just need to be ready for it, and then usually he doesn't jump first, so you can just sort of jump over his head. But that's not how we actually do it during challenge mode, that's just if you are doing the IL, that's what you'd want to do. So let's go ahead and go back and show challenge mode route. So the challenge mode route for this one is going to involve not getting the mushroom. And that sounds like so boringly, stupidly different, but basically the mushroom costs you a full second of time in real time due to the fact that you have to wait for the game to freeze to give you the mushroom and to unfreeze to take it away again. So instead, we do the beginning part where we jump over this, but we skip the mushroom, nothing to worry about there. And then we stop in between these first fire bars, and I'm waiting for that one to be high enough for Mario to jump through. Ending of it's the same, yeah, I missed the jump a little bit, and here's where you get to react to Bowser fire, which is not super fun. The nice thing is this happens early enough on that if Bowser gives you a truly mean pattern, you can usually recover from it, and it's, or like you can just reset if you die, but it's still kind of annoying that it shows up right there. So again, I'm sitting here, I'm going to wait for this fire bar to go up, and I'm trying to clear it so that fire bar is as close to my head as possible. From here, the rest of the section's the same. It doesn't look like it because I slowed down at the beginning. And then you just need to dodge the Bowser fire. So let's try dodging Bowser fire a few more times. I'll do this one more time and see what pattern we get to see if I get anything either deadly or at least a little bit different. So again, I'm waiting for that fire bar, and it's because you cannot go through this first section fast enough to dodge all the fire bars. So that's why in the IL we damage boost, and in the non-IL we just wait a little bit. Waiting in speedruns, I know. So you can see there, that's an example of the mean Bowser fire pattern, where I'm trying to jump here so I can react quickly to whatever pattern he throws at me, but if I jump there and he does a low fireball, that's my gamble, I'm just dead. You can, if you're nervous about it, slow down here or even drop into this section here, and that will give you more time to react if you'd like it, but you don't need to do that, so there we go. And that's all of World 1. So yay! If you guys have any questions or comments, please keep putting them in. Appreciate it. But yeah, so that's the World 1. Time to move on to World 2.